The tongue is not sufficient to say, nor the hand to write all the marvels of the sea. Millions of little crabs arrive on land. They've completed an exhausting journey, defying both predators and ocean currents. One of the most spectacular migrations of nature has reached its end. The red crabs live in the forest, but recalling their marine origins, return to reproduce in the sea they left millions of years ago. After the eggs hatch, they spend 3 weeks in the sea, a larval stage in which they take the name of megalop. During this period, they haven't yet developed a pulmonary system and still live in contact with the water. By now, they're completely formed and are similar in every respect to the adults, and they're now ready to venture out into the forest. We're on Christmas, an island in the Indian Ocean, south of Java, and 1,500 kilometers from the coast of Australia, of which it forms a part. A tiny dot in the vastness of the ocean. It's an island of volcanic origins that rises with vertical walls from the depths of the abysses. The seabeds are uncontaminated and rich with life. Many parts have yet to be explored. Enormous gorgoni extend themselves towards the marine current to catch nutrients. Brightly colored crinoids, also known as sea lilies, search for the highest position in order to extend their arms. Here, Acropora reach enormous dimensions and can often collapse under their own weight. In spite of the walls around the island being very similar, an elevated biodiversity is found at the front between one zone and another. Some non-migratory species are found a few hundred meters deep, like the great shoals of platax, whose curiosity draws them closer. Sea anemones sway with the surf. A short distance from the seashore, schools of dolphins greet each other joyously. A few meter deep long caves insinuate themselves in the bowels of the island, creating wonderful tricks of light. The majority of the island is a natural park. The only inhabitants of the rainforests are crabs and many varieties of birds. Gannets and frigate birds captivate with their flights. The golden bosunbird exists only on this island and is probably the most beautiful of all the marine birds. There are different species of land crabs. There are the spectacularly large coconut crabs, also known as the robber crab, which have very bright colors. The English name, derived from the Latin ergus latro, originates from their habit of stealing objects. The blue crabs always live in contact with fresh water. But the true star of the island is the red crab. Its numbers are estimated at 100 million. During the year, they live in the forest. Their burrows are everywhere. Their diet consists mainly of leaves, flowers and fallen fruit. However, it's not uncommon to see them eat other dead crabs or birds. These crabs are loved by the population. During the migration, smaller streets, which are invaded by the crabs, are closed to traffic, while in the main streets, small barriers are mounted to direct them under the road. In spite of this, between 500,000 to 1 million crabs die every year. Much of the damage is due to the phosphate quarries of the island. This business is heavily criticized. However, it'll be 5 years before the mining is complete. Another danger for the red crab comes from the yellow crazy ant, a variety which was introduced to Christmas Island from the ships arriving from Africa. The yellow ants spread rapidly through the island and attack the crabs by spraying formic acid on their shells. Australian biologists are implementing techniques to sterilize the queens in the hope of reducing the numbers within a short space of time. At the beginning of the humid season in November, the incredible annual migration begins. A combination of the arrival of rain and a particular lunar phase forces the crabs to move themselves against the tide. The first to arrive at the water are the large males. They climb the cliffs with great agility and spend several days hydrating themselves by dipping into the water. They have to be very careful not to fall into the water to avoid drowning. Evolution has adapted them to life on dry land. They no longer have gills and they can't breathe underwater. Sometimes, however, they fall, becoming prey for the fish. After rehydration, they re-enter the forest nearest the coast, and there they fight for possession of the burrows of the waiting females. They mate in the dark of the burrows, and 2 weeks later, the females are ready to lay their eggs. Every female can produce around 100,000 of them. And they lay them in the sea in conjunction with the high tide, because they have more chance of spreading further. The eggs hatch after a short while, and for 3 weeks, the megalops remain in the sea. In just a few days, the millions of eggs and larvae turn the water around the island red, and this attracts plankton-feeding fish. This is just the first stage of the migration of the crabs. Their odor is spread in the water, and the currents disperse it. From the vastness of the ocean arrives the amazing whale shark. The biggest fish in the world, it can reach up to 80 meters long with a weight of 34 tons, and is one of the longest living animals on the planet. Some types can live up to 150 years. Christmas Island is one of the few places in the world where it's possible to see them frequently. Above all during the season of the migration of the crabs. Elegant manta rays are also present in this water all year long. But during this period their numbers greatly increase and they can often be seen jumping out of the water. The spectacle of nature continues above the surface of the sea. Here they are again, the amazing little red crabs. Their tenacity leaves one stupefied. Now they're ready for their great adventure in the forest. In 5 years' time, they will reach their sexual maturity and then they'll be ready for their own great annual migration. They teach us to admire and respect living beings in all their forms. Yet again, the sea, the origin and master of life, leaves us with indescribable emotions.